All right. We're now ready to begin the session. We'll just take a minute more to get the technical.
Okay, but you can hear me, Chirag?
Yes, I can hear. You are in the main room now.
Perfect. Perfect. No, I just disconnected from there and came here.
All right.
Perfect. Or I have to go somewhere else?
No, you have to be here only.
Perfect. Great.
We have Priya ma'am with us.
I can't see her.
Hi, I'm here.
All right.
Hi, Priya ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. So I think with that said, we are about to. We are good to start. Our esteemed panelists, ladies, gentlemen, and dear students, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Chirag Bhandari, and I'm the founder and CEO at Innoble Social Innovations, and I'll be your host for this session. As many of you are already aware that we're doing a series of webinars on a very critical issue, COVID impact on rural schools, learning loss, dropout, child labor, and why continued investment in education is a must. The topic of today's webinar is Connecting Students to Education Part 2, panel discussion with maths and CSR experts. As you all know, the world faces a very serious crisis for education. In April last year, 1.6 billion learners, that is to say 91% of the global student population, was affected by schools and universities closing. This unprecedented situation disrupted learning and amplified educational divides, especially for the most vulnerable. Besides exacerbating social inequalities, especially in the 40% of poorest countries who were unable to rule out specific measures to address school closures, it also revealed gender inequalities, as UNESCO is estimating that about 11 million girls globally may never come back to school. Lastly, as education moved to digital medium, the digital inequalities amplified these divides further, as about 43 million global students lack internet or device access. About 1.5 years from that point on, the crisis continues. In India, close to 6 million students, particularly rural students, have been completely or partially disconnected from education. This is resulting in learning loss, student dropping out, child labor, rampant child abuse, child marriages, and so on and so forth. Very clearly, technology has come in as a savior, and no one can now deny the significance of technology in education. However, the challenge of students acquiring education cannot be solved by technology alone. The challenge is quite complex. Schools provide a complete ecosystem, and it is nearly impossible to get students to acquire proper learning outside of it. There are many existing systemic challenges, like learning levels in rural schools has been very low. Before the pandemic also, students don't find this education engaging enough. There's a lot of discrimination in terms of caste and creeds across various rural demographies. And students acquire learning in many different ways, depending on their context. Also, different subjects need to be approached differently. Many rural students go to school only for midday meals. On one side, there's a lack of digital devices and internet access. On the other side, there's a raging debate on whether access to such devices and internet is healthy. This clearly are very complex challenges, and we need to involve all the stakeholders in discussions while we are trying to find credible solutions. Hence, we at Innoble felt that there's an eminent need to bring people who understand teaching learning processes around discipline and those who are committed to investing in education on a common platform to discuss the various possible solutions, and then to test these solutions with the students in collaboration with parents and the community for its effectiveness. This webinar series is an organized attempt to do exactly that, We will be making a genuine attempt at recording all the learnings out of these discussions, look at all the questions and solutions, and then possibly use some of these learnings for our ground interventions. It looks like we have about 100 odd participants here today. I would like to acknowledge each one of you for being here as a part of this webinar. Making time and being here really talks about your commitment to the rural education transformation in India, and this is something that is highly appreciable. This webinar series has been curated and created by Ennoble in partnership with Vidyavan Society. Ennoble Social Innovation is a social startup focused on developing sustainable and scalable solutions for schools to create better learning ecosystems. Our flagship program, Yellow Green School, delivers on holistic transformation of rural schools through better infrastructure and better quality of education. Founded in August 2018, Ennoble has rapidly expanded and worked across 58 districts across India and has executed various corporate CSR partnerships with Mahindra, Godrej, NTPC, Suzlon, etc. Ennoble is incubated with AICRMP, Atal Innovation Mission, which is a Niti Aayog initiative, and also at IIM Bangalore, NSRCEL. Ennoble has won several national and international awards for its innovative products, such as Maharashtra State Innovation Award by Maharashtra Government, Cimex Tech Social Entrepreneurship Award in Mexico, our own Innovation Award by Infosys Foundation, and more. It also has an academic partnership with Vidyavan Society, which was founded in 1931, and since then has been working to provide quality education to children and youth from all sections of society. At present, Vidyavan Society has grown to be a consortium of about 13 institutions. I'm very happy to announce that on today's panel, we will be featuring a rich array of high-level speakers. These are people who have really deep knowledge about their disciplines, and we all hope to gain a lot from their experience. Please allow me to introduce them to you. Our first speaker, Mr. Neeraj Kumar Lal. He is the Group CSR Head at Arvind Limited. He's a postgraduate in rural development from Xavier Institute of Social Sciences, Ranchi. Amongst several incredible programs that he has designed and implemented, one of the program is in education and aims to take children out of poverty cycle by working with them for a continuous period of 8 to 10 years. Similarly, another skill training program for tribal women workforce that he has conceptualized is aimed to turn blue-collared women workers to white-collared ones. This program is all set to be replicated in various cities across India. Mr. Lal is also a member of CII National and also speaks frequently at leading forums across various platforms. Mr. Lal has also been a part of general management programs at IIM Ahmedabad. Our second speaker for this event is Professor Hridayakant Diwan. Mr. H.K. Diwan, most popularly known as Hardy Sir, currently works with Translations Initiative of the Azim Premji University. Hardy Sir is a PhD in theoretical particle physics from Delhi University. He has been working in the field of education for over 40 years in different capacities. He is one of the founding team members at Eklavya and an educational advisor and ongoing secretary to Vidyavan Society. He has engaged with many reform and change aspects in schools and curriculum development in the country. For example, he has helped develop textbook for science and mathematics with the NCERT and SCERTs of various states, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Haryana, etc. Besides this, he has also helped develop programs of school and classroom improvement and in-service teacher development for many SCERTs and MHRDs, as well as for IGNOU. Our third speaker is Ms. Parvati Krishnan. Ms. Parvati Krishnan, who goes by Priya, has almost 3 decades of experience to her credit and is an MBA from IGFA University. She joined CII as a trainee and left as a deputy director. She worked with the institution for nearly 18 years in various positions where she handled many committees under the Social Development Council as well as urban infrastructure. Post this, At Coca-Cola India Foundation, she was in charge of projects and programs in the area of watershed, environment, and women empowerment. In 2016, she joined National CSR Network as the CEO, where she helped in setting up a proper system in place. She has taken many initiatives and overseen projects end to end. Priya has been the recipient of many awards in the CSR space. And finally, I would like to introduce to somebody who is also a mentor to us, Mr. Prasoon Kumar. Mr. Prasoon Kumar is an MA in Political Science and Sociology. He is an eminent education advisor working with Vidya Bhavan Society and has close to 23 years of experience in diverse educational roles. He is closely associated with various state and national school education improvement programs, including textbook writing, teacher training, and policy and curriculum development. Mr. Prasoon is the one who had conceptualized this idea of having various stakeholders in education come together and discuss this complex issue of on one platform. And we are highly thankful to him. And before we finally get started, I would like to share some basic information. We would want this to be an interactive session, and we would love to hear from you. We would request you to put any questions that you have in the chat box. We will take these questions up in the question and answer session towards the end. We would like you to be on mute during the entire session so that there is no disturbance while the discussion is going on. This discussion is also being streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. You will find the links of the same in the chat box in just a bit. A recorded version of this webinar will also be available on our YouTube channel, Yellow Green. This session would be about 75 minutes long, and we intend to finish this session by around 12:15 p.m. I request you all to be present for the entire duration of this session. And having said this, and without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Prasoon Kumar to set the context for this webinar. Sir, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chirag. So now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
So yeah, my name is Prasoon. I work in Vidya Bhavan Society as education advisor, successor to Hardy. And so just to give you a brief idea, because it's important for audience to understand why I'm talking about school and why I'm talking about what we can do during COVID times. So Vidya Bhavan has 3 schools and 3 teachers training college, and also teaching other teaching institutions for postgraduate and graduate courses. That's from where I derived my entire idea of how do we approach to COVID, planning for children, planning for schools. Yeah, so that's the background. So now let me come directly to the point that the responsibility which Chirag has given to me. And it's basically a summary of what we have been doing and where we started. We in Vidya Bhavan, we started talking about how to teach children during COVID times quite in advance. In May 2020 itself, when everybody was talking about digital learning, and that was the buzzword around. So everybody thought that we know. So what if the school is closed? You have a digital device and you can reach children. But in Vidya Bhavan, we realized quite early, towards May itself, that this is not what actual school is. And our first realization was when we talk to children. See, also we have to understand that the kind of children we have in Vidya Bhavan, the kind of children, the space which Vidya Bhavan for all historical reason has created is for children from very modest background. So if they are not in Vidya Bhavan school, you'll find them in government school. So these kind of children, and we all know that digital learning requires lots of money to start, even having opportunity to use digital device, it requires money, and many families, they don't have so much of extra money to support such kind of a shift. So our first realization that came from this entire idea was that children were missing school. And the act of missing school is a great way of not being able to structure your mind for learning. And the best example I can draw is talking about asking soldiers to go and defend the border, informals not wearing uniform. And it's similar to like being a soldier and not wearing a uniform and defending your border. And this was the whole paraphernalia of going to school is very, very important. And not going to school is a miss for children. So we need to go think out of box, because for elementary school children, school is closure is going to prolong. So we have to think out of the box how to make a small bit of their loss because of school closure. So that's one thing that we keep talking, and that's how Chirag and his entire team and Vidya Bhavan started talking about, and that's how we came to question number one. The second was impact of closing school. You know, we have to understand that closing school also led to closure of space for asking stupid questions. Stupid questions. I mean, I can't go and walk in and ask my teacher, okay, since you have taught me zero, show me zero, and tell me, now we are talking of minus number, tell me why there's a minus number when zero means nothing. This teacher will tell you, you are stupid, you go and it's not possible for you to learn, for example. And also, in social science, we start a chapter saying that India is the largest democracy. And when we go back, we see that only 50% of people vote. And out of that, if you are able to get 30% of the 50% vote, you rule us for 5 years or 10 years. But you can't go and ask your teacher that India is not a democracy. All these questions are questions which has no straight answer. These are important questions for us to keep our learning alive. Otherwise, we'll not learn. And this kind of informal space that school provided to children is missing. And so we have to understand, how do we create that space? How do we give children some task where then they can go and ask these questions and try to understand this? And probably Google and internet, they don't respond to such questions. It's an interpersonal interaction. The third important, which I had already stated, is the buzzword called digital learning, which was so obvious and so dominant word in May 2020. Now it has lost its color some way. So digital learning is one way that we need to examine very carefully. And my own working experience of working with digital learning is, you can only do mechanical thing on digital learning. But when it comes to actually learning and getting feedback from somebody on the other side, you need to sit and see the face. Otherwise, people just switch off their camera and mute you. So when you get a call from your office that, work from home, take it with a pinch of salt. So only mechanical things you can sit at home, you can write report, you can write email. So this is my experience. You talk to a teacher, they'll tell you that, digital learning is great. But we would have made a great difference had the children learn to read a text and understand themselves. And it's so obvious that if you give a class 5 child some text from class 3, most of the time you'll find 80 to 90% of children, they'll not be able to make sense. That's a big disadvantage when you want to make somebody independent learner, interpret something independently. That's the reason why you need to look at historically what we have done with children in learning, that they are not able to become independent learners. And so these are the three questions. And when we started discussing these questions, we got the sense that we can't discuss this alone. We need to get in people who understand discipline, so that we get to know how do you approach teaching in maths, teaching in language, teaching in science, teaching in EVS. So the first webinar we had was when we called Professor Ramakant Agnihotri, a renowned linguist. He spoke about how to reach children with language learning. And we are still working with him, trying to be more specific. Now we have Hadi H.K. Diwan, who has a background of very rich background of mathematics. We today talk about mathematics. And so before I close, one important note that I would like everybody to make is, please do ask questions which you disagree rather than what you agree. It is important to keep our communication moving. Otherwise, we'll reach an end where we'll not be asking and we'll not be discussing. And thank you very much, Chirag. And over to you now. Yeah.
Thanks for setting up the context, Prasoon sir. I would very quickly like to move to Mr. Neeraj Lal, who is our first speaker for the day. Mr. Neeraj, over to you.
Thank you very much, Chirag. And thank you, Prasoon ji, for setting the context so well. In this COVID webinar series part 2, broadly what Chirag and Prasoon ji has outlined is the role of CSR in the education space, and whether we see any kind of variations happening due to COVID. Education and CSR has been my domain. I have been working on it. And it's absolute pleasure that Chirag and Ennoble Social Innovation team invited me for this. Thank you, Chirag, for putting this together. And my fellow panelists, we discussed it twice, how exactly to plan the flow and how exactly to see what will happen when. Generally in webinars, this doesn't happen. It was the preparation, and I'm glad to see that preparation, which is pretty rare. So thank you very much. And my thanks are also due to the participants. This number is generally not there in the webinar, and I look forward to receiving very deep and tough questions. So, okay, role of CSR in education, pre and post-COVID. So the discussion topic is pretty close to my heart. I think education is the only tool that ensures equality. This happens in schooling, higher education, first few years of our lives and get transformed into life learning. It makes us the human being that we are. If this is the kind of broader goal, let me start with asking, is pandemic an opportunity to reimagine education? Is pandemic an opportunity to reimagine CSR? My answer is a pretty profound yes, with capital YES. And why I'm saying so, I will discuss in what I'm going to do. You can ask questions anytime. Let me kind of give it a broader structure. In present time, especially, and in general, in what is the role of education, role of CSR in education? So, if we need to define that role, I would then talk about why am I saying that role is, the rationale of it. With these two, I'll reach to, for example, I'll reach to what approach should we take, then share a small experience and suggest our way forward. I will end with the question that I asked, is pandemic an opportunity to reimagine education and CSR? Let me move to what is the role of CSR. To me, the role of CSR is basically to collaborate. What would every CSR like to do? Every CSR like to achieve impact. Achieve impact both qualitatively and quantitatively. So if there is no impact, I don't think that you can box it in CSR. Impact which will be done over a longer period of time. So this impact is the watchword for any CSR. And can you achieve impact for any project, any program, if you are working alone? When you are working with CSR, you are working with a project, there are variety of people and one need to collaborate. So first thing about CSR, the role would be that to achieve, to enhance impact, one need to come together, one need to work together, bringing all stakeholders together and collaborate with other CSRs. This is the new CSR, I will say, is a private partnership for CSR. More companies coming together, working together, and bringing change in the lives of the people. Am I saying this will happen devoid of the other partners like academic institutions, civil society partners? No. When two corporates come together, they come together with their partners. And when they come with their partner, this is a larger partnership. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that all the people need to come together? I am saying this because if you look at CSR, it is a mandatory field now. It's mandatory field because 2014-15, the government of India decided that every corporate must spend a little amount, 2% of their profit into this. Now, if this 2% was not there, were CSRs not working? Yes, they were working very much they were working. But this has brought a larger platform for CSRs to come and collaborate. Now, what is that significance of this 2% and why this makes the collaborations more empathetic? This recent report of Bain and Company on Indian philanthropy suggests that the complete CSR and philanthropic budget is almost 1% of the total social sector outlay of this country, including the central budget and the state budget. If it is just 1%, and even this 1% has increased 23% in 2020 because of pandemic. Philanthropic money and CSR money all have come together. This report is just out. So even after 23%, this is only a little over 1%. Earlier, it was less than 1%. Would you spend this small amount into all over India, into variety of things? My answer is a strict no. So the rationale of collaboration is that we do not have that huge CSR budget. And if you do not have this huge CSR budget, where would you spend? You would spend in a very focused area. And that's where I come to check with the CSR approaches. The CSR approach basically should be that CSR should come together for a geography, CSR should come together for a theme, and they work together on a theme and a smaller geography with a smaller number of people depending upon their budget and continuously work. What is the most special thing about CSR? You have a budget available year after year after year. So what does it bring? It makes a project which could have been a year or two, it can make it a huge, long project where you can track development. So if that is the case, why are we not having a collaboration? We are not having a collaboration because everybody is trying to work in their geography alone. This is the biggest challenge for CSR. This is the biggest challenge for academicians. This is the biggest challenge for organizations like Global, that can we work together, come together for a smaller geography and work and ensure that changes take place. And if that happens, CSRs can set up, they can collaborate, they can change a particular geography, they can change people over there and set up a model that in turn start changing India. CSRs cannot start thinking that they will change India. So when the project turns into programs, when the short-term thing turns into long-term, change starts happening. CSR can make meaningful contribution in the geography and in the theme, and theme for today is education. Let me come and share a small example of education program where we are working on Gyanada. This is a supplementary education program which we are running in Gujarat. Two questions: should every student enrolled in primary education complete the education at least till class 12? The answer has to be yes. Should the education that a child has got result into employment, either self-employment, wage employment, or an entrepreneurial engagement? Answer has to be yes. Otherwise, why are you just studying? Okay. So these are the two questions which Gyanada attempts to address. This is a program. It's not a project. To me, nothing in education is a project. For our children in our families, we handhold them for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years to ensure that they complete their education. For the community where we are working, shouldn't it be the normal thing to do? Every student completing their school. This is the least that we can ask from ourselves, that every student who is getting into education, who is coming in touch with us, we should handhold and ensure that they complete their education. How will it happen? Our program is a supplementary education program. It's a pre and after school hour program. The students come 2 hours every day in centers defined, either before school hour or after school hour. And this continues for 8 to 12 years. All expenses paid for 8 to 12 years till the completion of education, and the guidance continues even after completion of education when they are in college or for higher education. This is a collaboration between government. This is a collaboration with civil society organization, educational experts who are bringing specific expertise on board. Between 2007-8 to 2020, the students who continued with us, because we could handhold them, they have completed their graduation, post-graduation. They are engineers who are in medicines. They are some are planning their doctorate, some are in nursing, some are in fine arts, MBAs, some are entrepreneurs, some are dancers, some are into environmental education. So huge thing has happened only because of the continuous linkage with the program. Why has this happened? This has happened for two, because what happens naturally in families like us doesn't happen naturally with the people in the communities where we are working, because they are first generation learners. So this handholding in a very defined geography and in a very defined theme needs to happen for 8-10 years to ensure that these children come out of poverty, and this is the last generation in poverty for them. We noticed something exceptional at the end of this about 10 years of work with the children, and I will end with the way forward after this example. One of our coordinators who was leading the academics of our program, Dr. Datta, she was conducting a study with the students who had completed about 12 years, 10 years of education. Those who had completed, they were doing graduation, and when she asked, what do you want to do? Few things were pretty clear. They said, we want to have a 2-bedroom house in a particular area where our coordinator was staying. When I am about 27, 28, would get married around 28, have children, and our children will go to private school and not government school. By 30, I'll buy a car and I will take my parents for pilgrimage in that car. Now, this is the aspiration of a child who studies in municipal school, has completed education with us and doing something. This is exactly the same thing that our coordinator accomplished when she was around 14. So our students have advanced that thing by 10 years. Their aspirations have been advanced by 10 years. What is not only 10 years advancement, but we are happy that we are giving some kind of values to these people. Moving forward, we would like to continue. Presently, there are 1,100 students with us in urban area. We are moving on to rural with about 2,500 students. Especially coming to pandemic, we could only connect with about 50% of our senior students who were in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Primary students are all gone. We could not connect with anybody. All the schools are closed. It's difficult time because from March 2020 to June 2021, this is not 15 months. These are 3 academic years affected badly. So we are connecting, integrating technology, and rural folks, wherever there is a device available, these rural folks have responded tremendously to this kind of distant connect. What we have done, it is not distant, it's a blended learning. So one person is teaching from distance, but there is a person who is in the village. Perhaps you are maintaining social distancing under a tree, but you are putting a tab and you are trying to do that. So we are working with one detailed program where on a platform we can teach students at different places who have their device with them, and we are also working with them through micro centers that we are doing. So this is why I see that we can reach to huge number of students, huge number of people straight away through using technology, and that is why I'm saying pandemic is a great opportunity. Thank you, Chirag, for this opportunity, and I believe if there are any questions, we'll add them. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this very passionate presentation, Neeraj sir. Your ideas on how there should be focused spending and so that CSR can actually create models which can later be picked on by government actually is a very, very valid point. We'll be further coming back to you as the discussion progresses. I would now like to move the discussion to our second speaker for today. He is Mr. H.K. Dewan. Adi sir, over to you.
Thank you, Chirag. So, will somebody also? Thank you, Madhu. So, I start by thinking about a question that we often listen to people, talk to people, and there is a feeling of fear about mathematics. It's considered to be a difficult subject, and I think we should wonder why it is so. I mean, if I were to ask people, are you afraid of mathematics? Do you like mathematics? So I feel many, do you know mathematics? I think there would be responses like, no, I don't know mathematics too well. I don't like mathematics. And that mathematics is difficult, I fear mathematics. But then we use mathematics all the time in our lives. So the question is, why is it there this fear when there is universal use? So, I mean, of course, we can ask, where do we use mathematics? We use it all the time unconsciously. When we say that, I have 2% hope that something will happen, that I'm, absolutely sure, 100% sure, 101% sure. So, you are in a sense displaying understanding not just of a number, but also displaying a sense of probability and your idea that understanding that things which are more likely to happen are closer to the higher percentage area. You are counting all the time, you are estimating all the time. So you place materials at home, you organize things at home, you measure out things. So in all these aspects, you are using mathematics all the time. You're making a budget, you are planning investments. So, but none of us recognizes that as using mathematics, knowing mathematics. I mean, we will never say that we don't know language and we are, we find our own language difficult. But about mathematics, which is so natural, which is so useful in almost as much as languages, we have this feeling that it is difficult and it is not for me. So the mathematics that we know, the mathematics that we use, we acquire. हम उसको सीख लेते हैं. वो हम रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में बात करते समय, काम करते समय, जरूरत होते होते वो सीख लेते हैं. और उसमें जो चीजें मदद करती हैं, एक तो मदद करती है कि उस तरह के काम को करने के कई मौके मिलते हैं, और दूसरा ये कि उसको करने की जरूरत होती है. देयर इज सम मोटिवेशन टू डू इट, बिकॉज उससे कुछ आपको मिलता है, कुछ फायदा होता है, कुछ जरूरत होती है. सो लाइक लैंग्वेज, सिमिलरली मैथमेटिक्स that we know, use at home, that we learn, we acquire, comes from experience, comes from interaction, और उसमें कोई उसको जरूरत नहीं होती कि कोई सिखाए. Can we go to the next slide? So it's like a natural process of learning. So this is one kind of mathematics which we know, use all the time, and we can make a huge list of that. But as many people have pointed out in conversations as about mathematics teaching is, this is different from the mathematics that helps you generalize. So things like, what is a rational number, for example? What is a number, for example? If I run into a situation where I have to measure a length of a diagonal, which has sides that I don't get a square of a perfect when I square the sides. So how do I find the length of the pendulum, the diagonal? So wherever we come into these questions, are all points that I have, are they representable on a line? Can I make a line of any length? Or can I, so in that sense, then you have a need for mathematics which is generalizable. Much of the maths that is of like that is not something that we use in day-to-day life. For example, we don't need the use of the fact that a rational number is P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. So we don't need an understanding of this. I'm not talking about the fact that you know this definition or not. We don't need an understanding of this. We know, that we are able to deal with fraction. But like Prashun said, we never need to use negative numbers in the sense that we use them in mathematics. We use them only as labels, that it's the below the sill level. So it's kind of 4 steps below sill. So it's -4, and if you go up 4 steps, it's +4. So we never need to deal with numbers in the abstract like we do deal with in mathematics. So the question that we therefore have to ask, हमें ये समझने की जरूरत है कि ये क्यों जरूरी है, ये क्या मदद करती है आखिर. और इसके बारे में काफी चर्चा हुई है पिछले कई वर्षों में, और जो राष्ट्रीय पाठ्यचर्या NCERT ने बनाया उसमें भी इसके बारे में. तो जिस तरह से भाषा और विज्ञान हमारे देखने का नजरिया बदलते हैं, उस तरह से ये अमूर्त गणित भी हमारे देखने का नजरिया बदलता है. अगर हम चीज़ों को उन गणितीय एंटिटीज के साथ देख पाते हैं, तो फिर उनमें हम ज़्यादा गहराई से देख पाते हैं. मैं पूरी बातचीत गणित पे केंद्रित करूँगा, क्योंकि मैं ये आपके सामने रखना चाहता हूँ कि चाहे स्कूल हो, चाहे टेक्नोलॉजी हो, चाहे ब्लेंडेड मोड हो, चाहे कोई भी मोड हो, कोई भी परिस्थिति हो, गणित के बारे में जो हमारी समझ है, जिस तरह से हम उससे व्यवहार करते हैं, इन कुछ चीज़ों को शामिल करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. पहली बात तो ये कि गणित कोई डरावनी चीज़ नहीं है, और दूसरी बात ये कि जो गणित रोज़मर्रा के जीवन का नहीं है, वो भी रोज़मर्रा के जीवन में उपयोगी हो सकता है, क्योंकि आप उससे कई चीज़ों को देख सकते हैं जो आपकी देखने के दृष्टि को बदल सके. Can we move to next slide? एक जो बात बहुत जरूरी है जिस वजह से हमें भाषा में वो दिक्कत नहीं होती, लैंग्वेज वी फाइंड इट ईजियर एंड नोबडी सेज दैट आई डोंट नो लैंग्वेज. That is because in language there is a lot of opportunity of playing and practicing. आप हर जगह किसी भी जगह जा रहे हैं, किसी से भी बात कर रहे हैं, तो उस समय आप भाषा में का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. उसमें आप जब एक दूसरे से मजाक करते हैं, एक दूसरे की टांग खींचते हैं, तो उसमें आप भाषा में पंच का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. You use language differently, you use it in different situations. So in that you are able to play with words, and you create a kind of a rhyme. You formulate a sentence which you want to enjoy differently. So there is a lot of play with words. In mathematics, that is not so simple. It does not naturally provide you with those opportunities because we haven't. So there is therefore a need for a social and emotional relationship to mathematics. और दोस्तों के साथ बात करना, साथियों के साथ बात करना, टीचर के साथ बातचीत करना मैथमेटिक्स पे, वो एक गणित के में कंफर्ट महसूस करने का बहुत ज़रूरी हिस्सा है. You can't feel comfortable with mathematics unless you are able to feel in command, that you can play with these entities, you can make new things out of them. You don't have to just follow directions. And I think that requires emotional and social connect. And in the present time, there is absolutely no opportunity to do that with the kind of mathematics that we learn at school. The use of mathematics at home perhaps continues in the same way. But because there is no escape from house, no opportunity to play, no opportunity to cooperate and compete. So the ideas of mathematics that arise sometimes in such situations, there is no opportunity to do that. You know, you can't even ask each other questions. Who can do this faster? So therefore, you know, we need to recognize that while it is absent today, but any program that we construct for the blended mode or in future when face-to-face school becomes a norm, we need to keep in mind that mathematics requires a social and emotional connect. It requires conversation, it requires cooperation, and it requires the same kind of dialogue as you require for learning language. Next one, please. So there are some things which are possible. And I think that, you know, we need to understand. See, what we end up doing in most mathematics classes is to get children to remember the counting number sequence, multiplication tables, add, addition and subtraction facts. So all these things are actually patterns in numbers. Now, if you were to allow students to, in groups, individually, through tasks, to construct patterns, अलग-अलग तरह के पैटर्न बनाएं, खुले मन से पैटर्न बनाएं, और ये खोजने की कोशिश करें कि कितनी तरह के पैटर्न वो बना सकते हैं, और ऐसे पैटर्न बना के दें जिसको दूसरों को खोजना हो कि पैटर्न क्या सोच के बनाया उन्होंने. तो हम जितना अभ्यास गणित का कर पाएंगे, जितना क्रिएटिव अभ्यास हम कर पाएंगे गणित का, जितना एक्सप्लोरेटरी अभ्यास कर पाएंगे गणित का, उससे संख्याओं के साथ हमारा रिश्ता बदल जाएगा. हमें लगेगा कि संख्याएं कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं है जिनसे डरने की जरूरत है, उनसे हम खेल सकते हैं. तो ये खेलने की जो जैसे शब्दों के साथ खेलते हैं, वैसे ही गणितीय ऑब्जेक्ट्स के साथ खेलना, चाहे वो संख्याएं हों, चाहे वो आकृतियां हों. अब आप ये कह सकते हैं कि अच्छा ये गिलास रखा है, इसको आप अगर ऊपर से बनाएंगे चित्र तो कैसा दिखेगा. या आप यहाँ बैठे हैं, आप अभी सोचिए कि आप जब स्कूल में घुसते हैं तो स्कूल सामने से कैसे दिखता है. तो आप एकदम से सारी जो शेप है, the entire shape, you are able to visualize it, and you kind of try to write it in. You try to write it in some kind of draw it in some kind of pictures, and in that you recognize also that there are different shapes, and those shapes can be represented differently. And slowly you learn also to classify it. So I give you a certain set of pictures, and I ask you, अच्छा ये किस चीज की तस्वीर हो सकती है, किस चीज की तस्वीर ऐसी दिख सकती है आपको? तो आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि जो चीजें हैं उनकी बेयर प्रोजेक्शंस और आकृतियां कैसी कैसी हो सकती हैं. जब हम चित्र बनाते हैं उसमें अनुपात का ध्यान रखते हैं, शेप्स का ध्यान रखते हैं, और फिर हम हर समय रोज दिशाओं का, मैप्स का, यहाँ से रास्ता कैसा है इसको किसी को समझाते हैं, उसको बनाते हैं. So in that sense, there is immense possibility of conversations and practice around mathematics, which is empowering, which is not daunting and fearful. So we can also have conversations with each other about ideas which have mathematics in them. Now, normally we don't do that, but it is not impossible for all of us, any of us, to think about situations where you can have conversations which have some amount of mathematics in it. I mean, I remember as a child, there were a lot of riddles that we used to hear, which we used to pass on to each other. And we also got into the habit of constructing these riddles, and we were just neighborhood kids in a small park where we used to play all kind of backgrounds of children. And so I think that kind of culture needs to be revived, where we kind of learn from each other, we challenge each other, and explore mathematics and its structure in a manner which is playful. Next one. Next, yeah. So, in this, I would like to come to the fact, what does therefore learning of mathematics mean eventually? So it does not mean remembering facts. It means that I have, as a learner, empowered myself to learn further maths. So I need to feel comfortable with shapes and numbers, and I need to be able to read mathematical texts in my language, in mathematics language, and appreciate logic. So in that sense, the learning of mathematics is simple and complex at the same time. It is simple because it does not have the nuances of language where the words can contextually take meaning. But it is complex because the contexts are not as rich as you have in language. So as I've been saying that, the only way mathematics can be learned is constant engagement with it, and with teachers and children, and teachers particularly also, continuing to learn and develop their ability to do mathematics. Because once you have stagnant knowledge, once you're not yourself playing with mathematics, you will not be able to encourage other people to have the confidence to play with these entities. So you need to continuously, all adults interacting with children, उनको अपनी क्षमता बढ़ाते रहने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए. तो भाषा में तो अनंत संभावनाएं साफ दिखती हैं, और फिर साइंस की कार्य कारण कॉजल रिलेशनशिप्स हैं और नेचुरल कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं, उसको समझने से जूझने की भी मौके मिलते हैं. मैथमेटिक्स में उस तरह के मौके हम लोग सोचते नहीं हैं और उसके बारे में आसानी से मिलते भी नहीं हैं. सिर्फ हमें जो ऑपरेटिव मैथमेटिक्स है उसके मौके मिलते हैं. तो कुछ कंसेप्चुअल मैथमेटिक्स के बारे में, कुछ क्रिएटिविटी इन मैथमेटिक्स एंड प्लेन मैथमेटिक्स के बारे में सोचना पड़ेगा. और गणित को कक्षा से बाहर जाना पड़ेगा और उसको आमतौर के जीवन में और नॉर्मल इंटरेक्शंस में उसको मिलने की जरूरत है. लास्ट वन प्लीज. I don't think there is last one, Chirag. One sec, bus. I just want to read them this way. Okay. So this is basically what. So there is a need to think about the fact that parents can also help doing all this at home, and there is a possibility of riddles, games, puzzles, and conversations around mathematics. And as Chirag and Neeraj have already said, this kind of effort of dialogue and engagement with children requires investment of time, and also, therefore, some investment in human beings who will be able to carry this forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing all these valuable ideas. I'm sure everybody in the audience has gained a lot from these ideas. To make this session slightly more engaging, we'll be having a few questions which would show up in the chat box. These are essentially pool questions, and we'll be having 3 of them. So this is the first question which is showing up. You can pick any of the answers. All right, so I think we have an overwhelming majority that pandemic is an opportunity to completely reimagine education and CSR. All right, can we move on to the next question, please?
Chirag, just 10 seconds more. People are still like 10 seconds more.
Next question. Okay, so we had about 62 people voting and about overwhelming majority in there suggesting that there's a different view. This is the second question, very relevant to just the session which is just concluded. All right, last 15 seconds. All right, so we had about 68 votes, and the results are.
You are on mute, Chirag.
All right, so this poll has mixed results, which is the most important ability, maths ability among students, and broadly people favoring estimating the number and size. Next question, please.
We will be ending the poll now.
All right. So, as what makes children learn maths and trying to solve problems and set problems for others is the best way to help children learn maths. So, with this, I would then now like to move to our third speaker, Ms. Priya Krishnan. Ms. Priya Krishnan, over to you.
Good afternoon. Can you please have the presentation? Thank you. Thank you so much, Chirag, for your kind introduction. And on behalf of the National CSR Network and my personal behalf, I would like to thank Ennoble and Vidya Bhavan Society for inviting me to speak at today's session on connecting students to education. I would like to start with a quote of Nelson Mandela that says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." Much has already been talked about the role of CSR in education by my previous panel members. My presentation will focus on a case study on upgradation of quality education. And before presenting that, I would like to make a brief introduction of National CSR Network. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. National CSR Network is an initiative by Strategic CSR Alliance. A Section 8 company was set up in November 2015 to empower companies for meaningful social development by providing a platform for connecting with companies, credible NGOs, sharing, learning, and assisting with project implementation, as also conducting impact assessment of CSR projects. Next slide, please. The network has been formed by a group of professionals from various fields, and some of them are there in our advisory council. We have Mr. Dwarka Nath as the chairman, Mr. Pankaj Bansal, and Mr. P. Rajendran from NAIT, Ms. Nilima Sabarwal, Mr. Mohit Gandhi from Wellinger Education, just to name a few. Next slide, please. NCN focuses on 3 core areas. The first one being create a platform whereby we have different networking forums on each sector like health, education, environment, skill development, women empowerment. So it is basically to sensitize companies on CSR, to share, learn, capture, replicate exemplary practices, to facilitate collaboration with stakeholders. And then we provide CSR solutions to mainstream CSR in companies, and to help with strategic planning and implementation of CSR projects, and also to assist in CSR reporting. And in the last bucket, we have conduct impact assessment of the projects, focusing on qualitative and quantitative data. And we have subject matter experts to implement all these projects. Next slide, please. Right to education is a fundamental right to ensure an equitable society. Unfortunately, the present crisis of Indian education system, such as non-availability of appropriate infrastructure, resources, including there is no ownership of some of the stakeholders at different levels to initiate, execute, and improve the capacity and quality of our education system that has led to our disruption in education. Education and skill development are two of the broad areas specified in the Companies Act 2013, amongst other CSR activities. 60 to 70% of CSR contribution by the companies are in the field of education, as they feel natural investment is critical for human development, for sustainability of the business and the country's ecosystem. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. The COVID situation, in the COVID situation, the whole world is facing today is rather unfortunate. It has completely upturned our daily life. According to the annual State Education Report, ASER survey 2020, 2/3 of rural children in India reported they did not receive learning materials or activities at all during the period of pandemic. Though there have been non-availability of infrastructure, the coronavirus pandemic is, as we all, our previous speakers also mentioned about it, it is reshaping the education. It has been rightly said that the real changes happen when there is a crisis. The pandemic has transformed the century-old chalk talk teaching model to one driven by technology. The current situation is, in a way, is giving the policymakers more time to formulate a better roadmap for ensuring a safer transition back to school-based learning. The disruption in the delivery of education is pushing the policymakers to figure out how to drive engagement at scale while ensuring inclusive e-learning solutions and tackling the digital divide. Next slide, please. How corporate sector could connect students to education in India? Next slide, please. We have an interesting question for audience at the end, so please do stay connected. Thank you. I'll be presenting a case study on upgradation of quality education in one of the backward districts of Bihar. Next slide, please. Project Shiksha. We have done an implementation of project in a government school with the support of a company. Before the implementation, a need assessment was carried out, followed by a baseline survey that was administered on 21 teachers out of 42 teachers and 170 students out of approximately around 1,000 students of classes 6 to 8. Total of 38 teachers and approximately 1,000 students are there in the school. The findings of the need assessment were there were no adequate provision of safe drinking water. There were no separate toilets for boys and girls as also the female teachers. And there was no digital classroom. सॉरी, काफी लोग हिंदी में भी सुनना चाहते हैं, मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बोलना चाहती हूँ, मैं बीच बीच में बोल देती हूँ. हमने एक कंपनी के सहारे एक गांव में बिहार में एक स्कूल को अडॉप्ट किया है जहाँ पे काफी सारी समस्याएं थी. वहाँ पे जैसे पानी पीने वाला पानी नहीं था, टॉयलेट्स नहीं थे, डिजिटल क्लासरूम्स नहीं थे जहाँ पे कंप्यूटर रख के लर्न कर सकते हैं, वो भी नहीं था. और लाइफ स्किल और वैल्यू एजुकेशन, जो अच्छे शिक्षाएं बोलते हैं ना, ये ऐसा करना चाहिए, सुबह वैल्यू एजुकेशन कहते हैं ना, वो भी नहीं था. वैसे वो लोग प्रैक्टिस नहीं कर रहे थे. हालांकि ऐसा वैल्यू एजुकेशन तो नो स्कूल इज, आई थिंक हार्डली few schools would have been conducting value education. सपोर्ट फॉर टीचर मोटिवेशन डेवलप, टीचर्स को मोटिवेट करने के लिए भी कुछ ये नहीं था, वो प्रोत्साहित नहीं हो रहे थे. अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर ऑलराउंड डेवलपमेंट, और जो बच्चे आते हैं उनको डेवलपमेंट के तौर पे सपोर्ट करने के लिए भी कोई चारा नहीं था। एंगेजमेंट ऑफ पेरेंट्स, जैसे माता पिता आते हैं वो उनको भी पता नहीं होता था कि बच्चे क्या कर रहे हैं स्कूल में। और अट्रिशन रेट ऑफ स्टाफ में जो टीचर्स होते हैं, जो स्टाफ मेंबर्स हैं, वो भी स्कूल छोड़ के चले जाते थे, क्योंकि इतना मोटिवेशन नहीं होता है, जो कोई प्रोत्साहित नहीं करता है तो उनको भी मन नहीं लगता है वहां रहने के लिए। और कॉर्पोरल पनिशमेंट प्रैक्टिस बेस्ड स्कूल वाज अनदर बिग चैलेंज। कॉर्पोरल पनिशमेंट ये होता है जैसे टीचर्स बच्चों को मारती हैं, सजाएं देती हैं, वो सब है, तो वो भी ज्यादा बहुत बड़ा समस्या था। Teachers were used to giving corporal punishment and were not willing to accept the reality. They have been staying in denial mode. The last training on saying no to corporal punishment took place till that took place. The situation was very bad. While there is a conscious acceptance of the issue and understanding of the causes and repercussions of corporal punishment, and the realization that it is now a legal offense under RTE, changing behaviors was a challenge, and now most of the teachers have made a good beginning. ये वो एक लीगल ये हो गया है, मुद्दा हो गया है। अगर कोई टीचर्स काफी पनिशमेंट देते हैं बच्चों को, एक लीगल होता है, हो गया है अभी, तो उसके लिए भी हमने टीचर्स को ट्रेनिंग वगैरह दिया है। So the findings of the baseline survey, most of the teachers were not comfortable with technology. जैसे कंप्यूटर लिटरेट नहीं थे, उनको कंप्यूटर चलाना नहीं आता था, लेकिन वो पढ़ाना बहुत मुश्किल समझते थे। And they were quite open to get trained to benefit the students in learning. Teachers' comfort level in speaking English was another challenge. Using technology to teach maths also was another issue altogether. All the teachers felt that the students will be benefited if teachers used digital tools for teaching. तो उनको बाद में समझ में आ गया था कि डिजिटल जैसे हम कंप्यूटर वगैरह यूज करते हैं, उसके माध्यम से जो भी हम पढ़ाई मतलब सिखाते हैं, उससे बच्चे काफी अच्छा पढ़ाई में कर सकते हैं। These studies led to setting up of smart class for class 6, 7 and 8. And we organized a training program. हमने ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम कंडक्ट किया सारे टीचर्स को, उनको ट्रेन करने के लिए कि हम बच्चों को पढ़ा सके। The training was spread, वो 2 दिन का ट्रेनिंग था, पूरा दिन 2 दिन फुल डे का ट्रेनिंग था, और काफी अच्छा जो सेशन में उनको अच्छी तरह ट्रेनिंग दिया गया था। The participants were shown and encouraged to practice as to how to log in, log out of the smart class, कैसे स्मार्ट क्लास के अंदर लॉग इन करना है, कैसे लॉग आउट करना है, कैसे सब्जेक्ट चूज करना है, कैसे चैप्टर्स और टॉपिक चूज करना है, और how to use different views. I mean, there are 2 views. One is smart class recommended, one is classic view. And then how to identify different categories. उसमें भी categories होते हैं, जैसे engage, practice, and then summarize, evaluate, or explore. How to use different elements present in these categories. How to play the modules and use the features. How to create lesson plan. How to view and manage the lesson plans. How to use virtual lab. The ICT expert was also appointed, who was going to manage smart class, was shown how to even create teacher's ID and how to view and download the reports, all that. उसके बाद ये सब हमने टीचर्स को हमने ट्रेनिंग दिया था, हमने कैसे लॉगिन करना है, कैसे लॉग आउट करना है, कैसे पढ़ाना है, क्या क्लिक करना है उसमें, ये सब पढ़ाया था। और हमने कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ टॉयलेट्स भी किया था, जैसे उनका रिक्वायरमेंट था उसके हिसाब से हमने कंस्ट्रक्शन टॉयलेट भी कंस्ट्रक्ट किया था, और adequate availability of water. Facilitation of safe drinking water, we have installed 4 taps with the provision of technology. एक टेक्नोलॉजी है जिसमें आयरन कंटेंट रिमूव करता है, पानी से, वो पीने लायक नहीं था, अभी उसको हमने अच्छा कर दिया है। और ट्रेनिंग्स में हमने क्या किया है, सीनियर मैनेजमेंट को लीडरशिप और गुड गवर्नेंस में सेशंस किया है, और टीचर्स को फॉर क्रिएटिंग अवेयरनेस अमंगस्ट स्टूडेंट्स about safe and unsafe touch, because it was a co-ed education, co-ed school, and about RTE, right to education, and child rates में भी हमने training दिया था. The right.
We've gone overboard. Can you just wrap in about a minute, please?
Sure. So और उसमें एक हमने हमारे स्कूल को साफ सुथरा रखना है करके एक कैंपेन भी चलाया था, और उसके लिए जो चाहिए था हमने वो भी प्रोवाइड किया था स्कूल के लिए। और एक अपग्रेड स्कूल के कैंटीन में कोई हेल्दी स्नैक्स जो खाने लायक होता है, हम लोग आजकल बहुत सारे क्या बोलते हैं फास्ट फूड होता है, जंक फूड जो भी खाते हैं ना, ये खाना खाते हैं ना, जो भी जंक फूड है वो नहीं खाना चाहिए। इसलिए हमने 2 हेल्दी स्नैक्स जो अच्छा होता है शरीर के लिए वो हमने प्रोवाइड किया है। और पेरेंट टीचर्स मीटिंग को कैसे कंडक्ट करना है इसमें भी हमने ट्रेनिंग दिया है। और अभी there is a very important slide which talks about during and post COVID intervention। अभी जो कोविड चल रहा है और कोविड खत्म होने के बाद हम क्या इंटरवेंशन क्या करेंगे स्कूल में, हम बोलेंगे हाउ टू प्रोटेक्ट योरसेल्फ फ्रॉम कोविड से आप कैसे बच सकते हो, व्हाट शुड यू डू इन केस ऑफ कोविड सिम्टम, अगर आपको कोविड हो गया है तो आप कैसे बच सकते, क्या करना चाहिए। मिशन मेंटल हेल्थ, इसमें भी हम प्लानिंग कर रहे हैं। In the current pandemic scenario, mental issues need to be addressed. Students are concerned with their careers. They are scared of parents getting infected. The company has agreed to our suggestions of conducting webinars at very soon on mental health and how to keep yourself and others safe, home isolation, etc. Celebrating COVID champions, जो हम बच्चे कोविड हो चुका था वो कैसे बाहर निकल आए, उनको हम क्या बोलते हैं सेलिब्रेट करेंगे, उनको कुछ प्रोत्साहन करेंगे। और अवेयर सेंसिटाइजेशन ऑन वैक्सीनेशन भी करेंगे, वैक्सीनेशन क्यों जरूरी है डालना। Before I end my presentation, as I mentioned, I have one question for the audience, and that is, Chirag, would you like to take it, or do I?
Yes, there's a pool coming up. Avni, if you can just put up the pool. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of other questions for the panelists also. Though we have overshot, by a little time, but I think these 2-3 are very, very pressing questions, and it would be good if you could just stay back for a bit. This poll question is right in front of you. All right, and while we are waiting for the poll to be answered, my first question to you, Neeraj, is that, and this has come from the in the chat, how can we make digital learning more inclusive in rural education in terms of technological advancements?
Chirag, there are only 2 ways, and I can share at this moment how we have done it. One thing is that even in the rural areas, there is a mobile device available at home, in few homes. And in the area where we operate, these are about 50-60% homes. We have also defined the time when it is very easily available. This time is from about 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So one thing is utilizing. Why I'm saying this is that utilizing what is available. That's the first step. So you will reach to the area to make it inclusive. You'll reach to the area, identify the households where it has, and available on what time. So you can connect distantly during that time. So this is utilizing the resources what is available locally. Second thing we are doing is we are setting up micro centers. So there are more planning that has gone into it. We have divided geography with about 70 villages. We have kind of categorized those villages into sub-clusters of 6 villages each. Then 2 clusters have been merged to make it 12 villages. These 70 villages and 103 schools. So all those planning have gone, and in each village we are first identifying where the resources are already, what is the time that you can get onto, and then start connecting from a distance, and add a physical space in each village in a rendered space, create tabs, create a television, and connect it from a distance. Connecting it from a distance certainly doesn't mean that you are removing, this is only online, this won't work. So it is a blended, there is a play person in each center during those available time, and you are connecting from a distance. Once you have created that, then comes the content and what to teach, how will you judge teaching, learning methods, material, and learning outcome. But these two things are important: creating infrastructure and having a backup team, which is teaching from a different, and a team, at least a person who is there. This is how we will approach the question of accessibility and inclusiveness.
Thanks, Neeraj. Quite insightful. My next question is to Hadi sir. Hadi sir, and obviously there are many teachers who are participating in this program. So their question is that if you can suggest, roles of teachers and how they can help in the current pandemic.
See, there are, at the moment, the biggest thing for teachers is to, in some ways, be able to connect with the students. And that connection needs to be with the sense of what most of us recognize as कि बच्चों की जिंदगी में जिस तरह का अभी ये 15 महीने और अभी पता नहीं कब तक ये चलने वाला है, उसमें जितना उनके साथ घटा है, उसके बारे में बात करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। और ये उनको समझना ज़रूरी है कि उन्होंने इस समय सीखा भी है और वो सीखना जारी रख सकते हैं। तो अगर ये पॉसिबिलिटीज़ हो सकें कि टीचर्स बच्चों के साथ, माता पिता के साथ बात करके कुछ ऐसे चीज़ें शुरू कर सकें which can be done at home. There are some ways which materials can reach children on which they can work, some ideas that they can work, if they can be put together as groups and facilitated in trying to learn with each other. So whether that is learning, see, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हमें कोशिश ये करनी है कि बच्चा पढ़ना सीख ले और उसका बेसिक कॉन्फिडेंस संख्याओं में और आकृतियों के साथ और उनके अंतर संबंधों के साथ बन जाए। बाकी जो डिटेल्स हैं कि उसको ये इतने फॉर्मूला आते हैं कि नहीं आते हैं, इस तरह की चीज़ें आती हैं नहीं आती हैं, वो इतना ज़रूरी नहीं है, क्योंकि टेक्स्ट अगर उसको पढ़ना आ गया है तो कोई भी टेक्स्ट वो पढ़ सकता है। और अगर उसको बेसिकली गणित से डर नहीं लगता, संख्याओं से डर नहीं लगता, तो बाकी चीज़ें वो सीख लेगा धीरे धीरे। तो मुझे लगता है सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी अभी यह है कि बच्चों के बीच में आपस में कनेक्शन बनाना, बच्चों का सीखने के साथ कनेक्शन बनाना और उनके डर और उनकी हिचक के साथ लगातार उनको संघर्ष करने के लिए तैयार करना। आई थिंक दैट इज़ द मोस्ट, सम वेज इन विच दे कैन प्ले with words, with numbers, with shapes, and enjoy conversations around these things with each other, with the teacher. And that would, of course, also require some tasks and some ways which give the children opportunity to work on these and engage with these in their own manner. Not simply repeating exercises, simply repeating questions, but, exercising their conceptual abilities and building them. Therefore, if you don't use your muscles to exercise, then they get weaker. So if we don't use our minds to exercise, then we are losing a lot of. So I think that's, to my mind, the best thing that teachers can do. कि बच्चों को किसी तरह से अपना दिमाग इस्तेमाल करने के, गणित में, भाषा में, विज्ञान में मौके दे सकें, सबसे जरूरी वही है।
That's very insightful, sir. Thank you so much. Priya, my next question is to you. We have been talking about CSR, and in how the role that it can play. So, in your opinion, what learning ecosystems can be developed? Post this pandemic is over, now that schools are opening up, and how can CSR play a critical role there?
Yeah, in terms of creating a learning ecosystem, of course, I completely agree with what Dr. Devan had said just now. And then, since corporates are the experts in running the business, they are the professionals. They can certainly come out with within their employees. I mean, whosoever is an expert on a specific field or something, they can get engaged with a particular the project wherein they can teach the children on various areas, be it science or be it mathematics, or because corporates are professionals. I mean, they know how to professionally make the projects more successful, right? So that is what I've seen all these years. I mean, how corporates are getting engaged with the communities, how they are spending their more time with the communities in various, whatever the issue may be, they go and spend time. That is called, that we also term it as corporate volunteering. So they give some volunteering time to the community and then teach whatever they are good at. That is my opinion.
All right. And I think the same question in a very different form, wherein, like we all know that there's a learning loss happening. A lot of learning loss has already happened, and we are expecting the schools to open in some time for higher classes early on, and then probably for smaller classes as well. How do we make up for these learning loss? Prasoon sir, if you could share your thoughts on that. You're on mute.
Yeah, can you repeat me? There was some disturbance. Yeah. So
my question is that, so we know that there's a learning loss happening, and obviously there are dropouts happening. And now that, there is a very good likelihood of schools opening, and we'll have schools opening probably for the higher classes, and then there'll be lower classes obviously would be coming to the schools. So how can we bridge the learning loss which has happened over the past 1.5 years?
Yeah, Chirag, this is a very difficult question. So what Hardy has said, that we, first of all, we have to become very sensitive and respond to children's present need. And then we need to build on, and see, learning comes second or third. One is that you have to understand, you have to respect a child as a human being and their social background before we go to learning. That's not what is happening even in the normal times. And COVID, it has become digital learning. So we have started pinpointing children for whom it's not possible to access digital learning. So we have to get out of this mindset. This is a typical mindset that we have to and learning, like I said, that learning, it's not so difficult once you start respecting the children and individual. So that's more important, and that's from where we need to start the beginning. Yeah.
All right. So I think very, very valuable ideas have been collected. I think from the very beginning, when Neeraj highlighted that we need to look at CSR as a CSR should have a geographical focus, and they need to come together with a theme and should actually create models which can then be picked by the central government or the state governments and expanded across, because the CSR budget is approximately close to about 1% of the overall outlay. And then Hardy sir outlining that learning mathematical thinking is important before actually solving mathematical problems, and we all know mathematics enough to build or to learn about abstract ideas of mathematics, but we need to be but we need to be more aware of these ideas, and teachers need to do some work in that area. And Priya, through her examples showcasing how rural schools can be transformed and what all works are being done by various corporates in the CSR space. And then finally, Prasoon sir actually setting the context and now, just getting us a sense of how complex it is to really, fill up this gap which has happened over the past 1.5 years, the learning loss that has happened, and we all need to really come together to find solutions to these answers. So to these questions rather. So with this note, I think we are at the very fag end of this session. I would very like to quickly thank all the panelists for making out time for this webinar. It was a very brilliant and very passionate and engaging session. Really to have you all here. And we'll be getting back to all the participants also, and they also participated with a lot of intensity in this session. So we'll be getting back to them with a compilation of all the learning that has been captured in this webinar. We'll be having another webinar in a short time span, and we'll be announcing the dates really soon. Our social handles are there in the chat again. So please do like, subscribe so that you're updated on the latest developments that are happening, and we can be, because we keep sharing a lot of interesting stuff on our social handles. And finally, I would like to thank the Innobuild team. We have a very passionate and a young and an excited team. So I would like to thank all of them. All of them really came in together over the past 2 weeks and helped make this event success, and helped all of us to connect and share ideas. So Avni, Ashik, Purnami, I think brilliant work, and across the entire team, several teams came together to make this happen. So thank you so much, everyone. So with this, I would again like to thank our panelists, Hardy sir, Neeraj, Priya, Prasoon sir. Thank you so much for making time. Thank you so much, all the panelists. And we'll conclude the session with this. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chirag. Thank you, Prasoon ji. Thank you. Thank you all.